By the time the Spanish explorer, Don Garcia Lopez de Cardenas, stood in awe of the Grand Canyon of the Colorado River in the 16th century, others had long preceded him. Indications are, in fact, that Indians had inhabited the region for some 3,000 years before confrontation with a great chasm ended forever de Cardenas' dreams of finding the fabled golden cities of Cibola. In nearby Havasu Canyon, descendants of those early settlers live today in one of the most remote and inaccessible villages in all of North America. Yet despite its isolation, the village of Supai is linked to the world by modern communications. Roland Nearing, president of the small independent Arizona telephone company, explains.
At Arizona Telephone, our first installation was at the Havasupai Indian Reservation. The Supai Reservation is a remote part of the Grand Canyon where over 350 Havasupai Indians live. Prior to our installing the service, the area was served by 2 non-dial telephones located at the end of 75 miles of pole and wire line. Even now, mail is delivered only 3 times a week by horses and mules. And yet these people can call Phoenix or Washington, D.C., or anywhere else in the world from any of the 45 phones located in the village. They order their supplies and foodstuffs by telephone. And most importantly, since they don't have a doctor in the village, they use the telephone to get help for medical emergencies.
To the people of Supai, the telephone is a lifeline. But the little village is just one tiny point in a vast, all-encompassing network of telecommunications, pathways which reach to every corner of the nation and around the world. The ability to transmit thought and data over great distances is taken for granted by most. Yet to some, the innovative use of telecommunications is perceived as the key to the expansion of man's intellectual and interpersonal horizons. MIT professor Ithiel de Sola Poole.
Oh, there are many implications to the current advances in telecommunications. The same intricate global network that today delivers our telephone calls, our television programs, and computer data from place to place provides the resources for all sorts of new uses that will, in the long run, have a tremendous impact on our society. Increasingly, communications devices will allow individualized use by consumers, where and when they want. Men and women will use machines as an extension of their own capabilities and personalities, talking and listening worldwide, picking up whatever information they want.
Good morning, Senator. My name is Ray Smith, and I'm the teacher of the class that you're going to be speaking to.
Morning, Ray. How are you?
Fine. Yourself? We have a conference-type telephone, and your voice is going to be broadcast to the students. They're going to be asking you some questions over a portable microphone. These are all seniors who are all taking courses in either political science or U.S. government. So the first person to question will be Jerry Schaefer.
Already, telecommunications have become a prime resource for educators.
Do you see that if the SALT talks break down completely, do you see Congress appropriating money to keep up in the arms race?
Well, Jerry, the President indicated, of course, publicly that if the second effort at SALT talks...
Here in Wilby, Ohio, we have developed the TeleXplorer, which is a telephone that enables young people to speak as a group to another person or another group at the other end of the line. We have been using the TeleXplorer in conjunction with various subject areas and at all grade levels.
Today we call Mr. Leo Leone in Italy. This is one of a series of telephone calls that we have made to authors.
Hello, is this Mr. Leone?
Hello? Who are you?
Tony.
Hello, Connie. How are you?
Fine. We have some questions to ask you today.
Oh, I see. Well, tell me, what do you want to know?
Hello, Mr. Leone. My name is Missy. Why do you write stories for girls and boys instead of grown-ups?
Well, because I like children, and...
One of the marvels of the entire TeleXplorer process is the fact that this telecommunications network enables young people to connect what's happening in that classroom to what's going on outside the classroom.
What do you see when you look out your bedroom window?
Well, I'll tell you right now, it is getting dark, because here it is already 7:15, and I see some beautiful hills, and I see my vineyard, because we're here in Chianti, and that is where the Chianti wine comes from.
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt, Peter, but I think what I have to say will apply to the whole theme, so we might as well go back and do a little work on it.
Here at the University of Wisconsin, we have an educational telephone network that interconnects 200 libraries, courthouses, hospitals, high schools, where students go so that all people can participate in continuing and credit programs in their home communities.
Now let me pull up and I'll be away from the bridge by about 4 inches.
One of the interesting programs that we're offering on our network is the cello.
Would you try that for me, Peter?
Okay.
We have a master musician teaching as many as 90 students around the state at a cost that's far below that of traditional education.
And constant research is expanding the network's usefulness. From Bell Laboratories has come an electronic blackboard. At the University of Illinois, students of engineering mathematics watch a professor develop a formula. Simultaneously, an ordinary telephone connection is carrying the image to a large industrial plant over 100 miles away, where technicians also take the course for credit with full advantage of the necessary visuals.
According to Spalding's formula, into this G tilde integral to get a function.
While graphics here are enriching lives, in a remote corner of Maine, the network is soon to carry another kind of picture.
Brixton Hospital, this is Freiburg Rescue. We are inbound to your hospital with a male patient, pain in his chest, radiating down the left arm. Our ETA is about 15 minutes.
Oh, I will be expecting you. Bridgeton Hospital's clear.
Okay, what do you got in the IV bottle?
E5W. EKG's ready to go.
Maine Medical Center, cardiology.
Hello, it's Dr. Freeman, Bridgeton Hospital. Would like to transmit a cardiogram with a stat reading, please?
Okay, we're ready whenever you are.
By phone line, the cardiogram is flashed from the rural hospital to a heart specialist in a large medical center some miles distant.
That came across just fine. I think your suspicions are correct. He does have...
Meanwhile, in a crowded city, another emergency is phoned in with a familiar 911.
Chicago Emergency Center. Hello. You're reporting a missing boy. 5 years of age. From what location? 10 South Canal. All right, well, we'll send the police.
South Sergeant 1 Essential, okay? Roger 1. Driving 1085 is 418 with South Approach 92.
I can't find my little
South
boy.
Approach 92, okay.
My little boy is lost.
When did you last see him?
This morning, he was out here playing. I came to look for him. He was gone. I looked everywhere. I talked to some of the kids around here. Nobody's seen him.
Okay, calm down. What's his name?
His name is Jimmy Williams.
What did he have on? Relax,
He
relax.
had some
Try to
blue
remember.
jeans and a red shirt. He's just a little boy.
Okay. Did you ask the other neighbor children
Yes,
if they saw
I
him?
asked everybody.
Try
Nobody.
to calm down. Let's go in the car and take a ride around the neighborhood. Maybe you'll see him then, okay?
Throughout the nation, the network responds to the needs of people. In an Atlanta supermarket, a remote banking terminal provides a shopper with funds from her account. While in Boston, a complicated inter-airline ticketing is quickly accomplished for a busy traveler.
Hi, how you doing today?
In San Diego, the cashier of a waterfront restaurant has instant credit approval at her fingertips. While in countless other places, the lifeblood of the nation courses through the arteries of communication.
Okay, we'll do it right away.
Just pulled in and I'll be home in about a half hour.
At the First National Bank, I have the Dallas scale for you.
We bought the Ridgefield deal. Yep. On a scale? You got it. Okay, starting in 78, it's a 3, 340, 75, 4, 415, 30, 40, 50, 60.
Semi is up 5/8 over yesterday's close. Burroughs also looks good, and the options are looking very good. So I think we should just hang tight for a while, and I think we're going to do all right on these trades.
Yeah, we pulled it over the hump for 5 in the north, but we only got about 20 cars.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chapman's office. Miss Robinson, may I help you?
Where the heck is that load of steel?
I'll have to talk with Mr. Chapman about that.
Come on, it's 2 weeks late.
I'll tell him that.
I got a crane standing up and 5 guys doing nothing.
Okay, I'll have him call you back, sir.
Baloney.
Water clerk, please. Yes, I'd like to place an order on Evergreen 13B. 9 feet, 1 day, tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good morning, telephone. May I help you?
I'd like to make some payments, please.
And may I have your first merchant code, please?
2002, $60.
That's Gimbal, $60.
Hello, New York. Glad we're able to see each other to review this brochure, which we're thinking of changing. We wanted to get your opinion about it.
Well, that's a great idea, Paul. Where should we start?
Let's start with format and size. Any changes needed there?
As far as we're concerned, format and size are just fine. The D3 and the picture with our...
On an average business day, the telecommunications network carries nearly 500 million telephone calls, originated by customers of 23 Bell system companies and some 1,600 independent telephone companies throughout the country. And when you consider that radio and television broadcasts, telegraph, and data communications are also carried by the network, you have some idea of the problem involved in keeping all this traffic flowing smoothly.
White Plains to the NOC.
Yes, White Plains, this is the NOC.
Ball game's over, and we're starting to build up some blocking to the West Coast.
Yeah, I understand the Yankees have won the game. NOC to San Bernardino. Notice you're beginning to build up quite heavily into the White Plains region at this point.
This is San Bernardino. Yeah, it looks like we're going to need a reroute.
Okay, Sambo, take your White Plains, New York traffic via Dallas, please. And White Plains, would you take your Sambo via St. Louis?
Under normal loads, automated equipment determines the best routing for calls. But when heavy surges of traffic occurs, such as Mother's Day, Christmas, during disasters, or as we've just seen at the conclusion of a World Series, The network managers at switching centers across the country are standing by to make the decisions necessary to keep communications flowing.
Showing you running NC to Jacksonville. Do they have a problem down there?
Edison, TD Radio, Quinton, New Jersey to Faulkner, Maryland.
I'm also noticing you're running some down chain into Newark.
It was changed to the MUR 203 Lafayette.
You have to have a conference call a little bit later about coverage plans for this thing. Denver was not receiving data.
Have a nice morning.
The all-encompassing network of communications is one of our most valuable resources, a resource to be carefully preserved for the welfare of the nation.
Set us down just this side of those buildings.
I'd like for you to hand me over to...
Well, now, as you'll see, we've gone to some length to protect the network and also to provide reliable communication no matter what happens, even in case of a flood or a tornado or even a nuclear attack. Now, right here below us is a major terminal building in a complete underground network of buried cables. Now, this cable crisscrosses the entire country, and we've buried it deeply enough that it should remain intact. Now, each of these terminal buildings is 2 stories tall, all underground. They're completely self-sufficient. They could be buttoned up and cut off from the outside world for, well, for periods as long as 30 days if necessary. Well, that would be in case of a nuclear war, for example. Now, here's how the whole facility is laid out. Here we have the entranceway, and right underneath us are the generators, 750 kilowatts. On the other side are the living and sleeping quarters and the food and water storage areas. And right here we have the telephone equipment area.
Well, this is pretty impressive.
You know, I think the public is vaguely aware that there's a military center hidden away in a mountain somewhere to direct the nation's defenses in case of attack. But nobody seems to realize that the Bell system goes this far to guarantee the reliability of a telephone network that's used, well, every day for 1,000 different reasons.
Calling overseas to France?
Yes, operator.
Thank you. One moment, please.
Hello, Fauveau.
Hello, Jean-Paul. General Ramsey here. How are you?
Très bien, fine. Have you been? Why are you calling?
I wanted to go over a bit of a change on your concert tour, Jean-Paul. Do you have your schedule handy?
Oui, un moment.
Miles beneath the surface of the Atlantic, a conversation flows between a New York skyscraper and a townhouse in Paris.
Go ahead.
April the 12th. I'd like to put Dallas in April the 12th instead of March the 27th. Is that all right with you?
Let's see, that is April 12, Dallas, Atlanta, Miami.
As new technology has pushed our horizons back deep into the infinity of space, satellites have vastly increased our capacity for international communication and are being used domestically as well.
Well, that's right. We now have domestic satellites in service and a number of new earth stations like this one to pick up and relay the signals. And all this is in addition to the satellites we've been using for many years for overseas calling. What we're doing is adding to the reliability and capacity of the network.
System planners and engineers work to stay ahead of the swelling tide of communications. Where present satellites can carry 28,000 simultaneous transmissions, new millimeter wave antennas will nearly triple this capacity. Where heavy cables, tubes, and wires have traditionally carried voice and data from place to place, tiny bundles of hair-thin glass fibers will carry tens of thousands of calls transmitted by lasers the size of a grain of sand.
Operator.
Where once an operator could set up perhaps 100 calls an hour, Bell Laboratories and Western Electric have now developed machines which will receive and switch over 500,000 calls in the same period of time. But as research proceeds, as new machines are designed and built, each must be compatible with those in use before them. For the network is never taken up and replaced, but is built upon and added to. A constant process of evolution in which each of the billions of interrelated components must work in delicate balance with one another.
I read a lot, so I guess that when I want to know something, I look it up in books and try to find out what it's all about.
Author Isaac Asimov speaks of our world eventually becoming a global village, tied together electronically, with everyone able to communicate with everyone else. Such a world is close at hand.
Okay.
You can come and visit me. I have some nice goats that you can see. You tell your granny to bring you here.
Okay.
Keeping in touch. This, after all, is the purpose. As all of the high technology evolves, as the accelerating pace of civilization catches us up and sweeps us along toward the 21st century, 2,000 feet below it all, the people of Supai still hoe their corn, drink of their crystal stream, and cling with pride to traditional ways. But if they do, it is by their own choosing. For civilization has not escaped them entirely. The world indeed is at their fingertips, and they are bound to it by the same pathways of communication that bind together all of the countless cultures which are the individual elements of the master matrix of mankind. It has been observed that as the coals of a fire depend on contact with those around them to remain warm and alive, people are the same, depending on the stimulation of personal interchange for life and vitality. Our pathways of communication make this possible.